Shalom, shalom, Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatah. First of all, I just want to give all praises and honor to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatah. And Father, we just magnify your name today. We give you honor and glory. And I pray that you put the oil on my lips and you allow your word to come forth and that your people will be edified. In the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai. We give you glory and praise. So today I want to bring out a message. It's called, He is the Potter, You're Just the Clay. It's a message he gave me. I'm going to try to do it as fast as possible. I'm not going to try to stretch it out too long. Try to make it short as possible. For y'all who teach, you know how hard that can be sometimes. But let's just start right away, get right into it, and hopefully you're edified. It's a message that I feel like all of Israel, or Yasharala, should hear right now, because we're at a very pivotal point in our walk. No longer are we in the last days, but we're in the final hours, and I believe it's getting real close to our redemption, getting real close to our salvation and for our restoration. So I want to start off. Oops, forgive me for that. I want to start off with Jeremiah 18, and we're going to read from 3 to 10. Bear with me because I'm reading for myself. Jeremiah 3 to 10, and it reads 18, verse 3 to 10. All right. Then I went down to the potter's house, and behold, he wrought a work on the wheels, and the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter. So he made it again another vessel, as seemed good to the potter to make it. Then the word of the Lord came to me, saying, O house of Israel. Why does this thing keep falling, man? O house of Israel, can I not do with you as this potter, saith the Lord? Behold, as the clay is in the potter's hand, so are ye in mine hand, O house of Israel. So he's speaking to Israel. And what instant I shall speak concerning a nation and concerning a kingdom to pluck up and to pull down and to destroy it. If that nation against whom I pronounce turn from their evil, I will repent of the evil that I thought to do unto them. And then we're going to go to Romans 9:20 to 21. Romans 9, verse 20 to 21. And it reads, Nay, but, O man, who art thou that repliest against God? Oh, my gosh. That's better. There you go. Shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, Why hast thou made me thus? Had not the potter power over the clay? Right? And it says, of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor. Right? So I just want to go through some steps, because after I was looking for the verses to this, I started to think like, okay, I wonder what the process of pottery or creating a vessel is, right? So there were 7 steps that I found that the pottery has to go through before it's, at its final stage. And its final stage should be at a place where it's good, strong. But there's several things that has to be done in the midst of these processes. And as you see here, we're going to go to step 1. And step 1 is, first you have to design it, right? And the thing I pulled up, it says design. There are so many ideas for making stuff in clay. So first, you have to think of the design, right? What are you trying to design? So we're going to go to Jeremiah 1:5, and it reads, Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. Right? So he already had a design for you. He already predestined you. So first there's the design, right? He designed those for wickedness, and he designed those for righteousness. And the one that he designed for righteousness would be Israel. Those ones that he designed for righteousness are the ones that he called his people, the ones that he chosen to give the secrets to. And it says in, where we at? Revelation 4:11. Revelation 4:11. Thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power. Thou hast created all things, and for thy pleasure they are and were created. So the first step is the design, right? So we are that design. If you are believe yourself to be a part of Yashar Allah, we are the design that God chose. We are the design that he predestined for righteousness, the design that he created for his pleasure. And he's created all things, right? So first step is the design. I'm going to go through it quick, and I just want you to, in the end, get a revelation of how creating a vessel or creating a piece of pottery, the steps involved is no wonder why he would use that as an example, right? So step 2 is making the clay, right? And I took a little bit of notes. I wasn't able to put it up here, so I just took some pictures. And it says in step 2 here, step 2 is you got to make the clay, right? And so what is the process of making the clay? It says, what is thioxotropic? Is a plastic clay that can be pulled and twisted. It's a longer process with I can't even say it. Thioxotropic, lower speed for it. It's lower speed for it, right? So it says right here, plastic clay, thioxotropic clay. These are sometimes called thioxotropic. This usually refers to material that is very elastic. It can be pulled and twisted like taffy and does not set until left still for a time. The Dixotropy is a property of ceramic slurries, right? So we're going to go to Isaiah 64 real quick. Like I said, bear with me. Trying to go as fast as I can. Isaiah 64, 6 and 8. We're going to tie it all in the end, but I just want you to get it as I read through the processes. I want you to get why he would use a potter and clay, but yet we try to tell him how to do his job. We're just clay. He's the potter. Trying to tell him how to do it. You got some nerve, right? He molds us. We don't mold him. Come on. So Isaiah 64, 6 to 8, and it reads, but we are all as an unclean thing, and all our righteousness are as filthy rags, and we all do fade as a leaf, and our iniquities like the wind have taken us away. And there is none that calleth upon thy name, that stirreth up himself to take hold of thee. For thou hast hid thy face from us, and hast consumed us because of our iniquities. But now, O Lord, thou art our Father. We are the clay, and thou art potter, and we all are the work of thy hand. Man, that's powerful. So he's the potter, we're the clay, we're just a work in his hand. He's the one who decides what the design is. He's the one who decides, how he's going to stretch you, how he's going to pull you. Part of being designed is getting pulled and stretched. And it's not a comfortable feeling to be stretched and pulled, right? But that's part of the process for you to become a vessel of honor. It's part of us. It's part of the process to get to the place where we understand that we can't do this without him. That this is not something that we tell him to do. It's what he tells us to do. We don't get to dictate his word. We don't get to dictate on what we think he should do. He's the potter. We are just clay, right? So step 3 is the drying process. So first you have the design, and then you have the making of the clay, right? A few more things real quick before we go on. Actually, before we go on to the drying process, I want to read a few more things. So thixotropic fluid versus pseudoplastic fluid. So thixotropic is a lower viscosity over time at a consistent cutting speed. Pseudoplastic, lower viscosity at a higher cutting speed. So it's a slower process in using thixotropic plastic, but it's more stretchy. It's more able to, when you use that kind of plastic, it's more able to, you can form it into what you want it to be better. It's a longer process to do, but it's a better process, right? Even though the process may be longer, it's a better process. And also, well, also tie. All right. And so when we read where it says a lower viscosity over time, right? Viscosity, what is viscosity? Viscosity is the resistance of a fluid, liquid, or gas to change in shape of movement of neighboring portions relative to one another. So viscosity is the resistance of fluid or liquid or gas. So it's liquid or fluid that that causes it to change, causes it to shape, right? So it's a needed process. Viscosity is a needed process, right? So now we're on to step 3, and it says step 3 is the drying process. Skipping this step can cause breaking of the pottery and can compromise the end result. It's a slow process, right? So I just want to read you a footnote that I got from online. Once your pottery has been designed and formed, it is vital that it is completely dry before firing. Failure to do so can compromise the end result, causing the pottery to become frail, cracked, or even breaking once in the kiln. The basic premise is that the pottery should be dried slowly and steadily in order to be effectively dried throughout. There are, however, many factors that can affect this, including climate, the size of your piece, the thickness, and the drying techniques you use, right? So if you really, really think about that, in this drying process, right, you have to really allow the process to take its place. You can't speed up the process. You have to make sure that everything is dry before you put it back in the kiln to burn again. And you have to be aware of the climate. You have to be aware of the size of your piece, the thickness. So basically, you just have to understand the process and be able to go through the process without speeding it up. That's part of creating pottery, right? And we're going to go to Matthew 24:13 real quick on that. We're at 13 minutes. Just want to make it real fast, something that you can have to be edified and something that you can really think about on how we were created. Even when we're discouraged, we want to give up. You got to realize that you're just clay in the potter's hand. And he's allowing you to be stretched for a reason. He's allowing you to be pulled in different directions. That's why James says, count it all joy when you fall into various temptations, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience, right? So Matthew, where we at? Matthew 24:13. Nothing too crazy, just something to edify the body. Matthew 24:13, it reads, but he shall endure unto the end. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. So don't rush the process. You got to endure. You got to just sit and you got to learn, right? Slow process. But part of the drying process, in the sense of us, is sometimes we have to learn to just sit and just, you know what I'm saying? Let the process take its course. Let the process take its place. Because before going back into the fire, because the second step, right, when it's forming, you are on the wheel. But then after you get taken off, you get dried, right? You sit. And it's a process when you sit. And if you skip the process, like I said, or you rush the process, it could compromise the end result. So don't compromise your end result by speeding up God's hand and his process, right? And step 4 is a very uncomfortable process that we don't like to talk about. And the 4th process, right? Actually, I'm going to record 15:3. All right, so the 4th process is trimming and cleaning up. This is where it gets shaped and molded further. So now it's getting molded even more now. After the drying process, it gets molded further to trim it and clean the edges. So part of this cleaning is studying the word, right? We're going to go to that verse in John 15, but I'm going to go to my footnote real quick just to see the step of this one. So trimming a pot, 101. Now watch this. Trimming or turning, as it is traditionally called, from way back in the day, we will give you the opportunity to remove any excess clay and further shape your piece, right? So what happens is you get put on the potter's wheel, and as he's turning, he's cleaning, he's trimming, right? So first is you get, he gets the design. Then he molds the clay. He picks the clay, molds the clay, right? And then goes the drying process. In molding the clay, it's put on the wheel, molds it, then you put it out to dry. Slow process, right? Can't skip this step because you will compromise the end result. And then after this, after the drying process is complete, then you get put back on the fire, on the wheel. Now it's the trimming and the cleaning up. So now Yahweh is trimming and cleaning us as he shapes us further, right? He's trimming, cleaning us. And I know Yasha'Allah has been feeling the attacks lately because he's trimming us. He's cleaning us. He's clipping the edges, right? All the rough edges. He's removing the rough edges. So John 15:3 says, now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. So the only thing that can trim us, clean us, mold us, right? The only thing that can take the rough edges off is the word. The word is living water to us. It says, out of your belly shall flow rivers of living water, right? So we have to let the word be the one to trim us and clean us in the midst of us being stretched and put in the fire, right? So that's the fourth step. The fifth step is what they call brisk firing, right? The process makes it strong. So brisk firing, the process of brisk firing makes it strong. It's very vital that we understand, right? That we have to go by the process. We can't skip what he has designed for us to go through so we can become vessels of honor. So we can become vessels that are righteous before him, that we're not vessels that are rushing the process and breaking in the midst of us walking this walk out. That's why people give up along the way, because they rush the process. In the midst of hardship and being stretched, you sometimes have to sit and let Yahweh speak. You have to sit and let Yahweh be the one to give you the word in the midst of whatever you're going through, right? I don't care what it is you're going through, man. Yahweh is able. And all of us know that Yahweh is greater than all things. When I say I magnify him, right? When we say we magnify him, that means we're making him bigger than every storm, every trial, every situation. And the stretching and the cleaning and the molding is just all part of it, brother. So don't give up. Don't be discouraged, because he's doing it for a reason, to create a vessel of honor in all of us. And all of us who are chosen as his people, he's purging us. And see, you know how many times I've asked him in prayer, Father, purge me, purge me. But you know, part of purging is burning. Part of that purge is you getting uncomfortable. If you go off or whatever it may be, you're not going to feel comfortable in doing things against his will. That's part of you being a vessel of honor. That's part of the process. So brisk firing, right? That's the process that makes us strong. And we're going to go to 1 Corinthians 3:13, right? But before we go there, brisk firing, the first firing of ceramic. So there's several processes of firing. This is the first firing of ceramic ware to make it strong enough to handle conveniently. So this firing process is needed in order for us to be strong, right? We need the firing process to be strong. And it says candling, gently heating a kiln and its contents above room temperature, but below the temperature of water. So you got to know the room temperature. You have to know the temperature below and the boiling temperature of water. So you have to make sure your settings are right and everything is in place, right? That the process is as his process, not our process. So the brisk firing, the first firing of ceramic ware to make it strong enough to handle conveniently. So we get designed, and then he forms the clay, right? And then he puts in the drying process. Then he cuts and trims us. And then he puts us in the fire, in the first process of fire, right? And I'm going to read Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 3 and 13. And it says this. Every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. Golly. It says the fire will try every man's work. And other versions say the fire will expose every man's work. Right? So the bisque fire is a firing of ceramic. Okay, so we got that. And then we have the glazing. I'm just going to go through these real quick. And what the glazing is firing is the process of bringing clay and glazes up to a high temperature. The final aim is to heat the object to the point that the clay and glazes are mature. Hear what it's saying here. Let me read that again, just in case y'all didn't get it. Firing is the process of bringing clay and glazes up to a high temperature. The final aim is to heat the object, listen, to the point that the clay and the glazes are mature. The clay and the glazes, the outside covering, that is that they have reached their optimal level of melting. So the more fire that's put to it, the more melting there is, the more mature it becomes, the more stronger it becomes. Right? So don't lose faith and don't lose strength and don't lose courage when you're going through it and you're being stretched and thrown into the fire and you're getting pulled in every direction and you're getting things trimmed from your life. You're getting rough edges cut off from you. It's part of you being a vessel of honor. You're and we are just clay. Who are we to complain? Who are we to say anything? Do we really believe Yahweh is in control of all? Do we really believe that he's in control of everything? If we believe it, then we have to understand that we are just clay and he's the one that forms us to whatever he wants. Stop complaining about the process. If it's something that you have to go through, then go through it. And go through it humbly, go through it learning, go through it understanding. At the end of the process, when you stand as a vessel, when you're already designed and you are put through the fire and you're cut and molded and cleansed, and you get the glazing, the oil of the anointing upon your life, right? When you get that oil on you, when you're called, right? You come out stronger at the end, but you got to go through the process. So glazing, and then we have the last and final step, glossed firing. It's another process, right? And let me see. Excuse me. All right, so the general process of glazing ceramics is by mixing your glazes. Apply the glaze to bisqueware, letting it dry, and finally loading into the kiln for the glaze firing. The kiln is slowly brought up to the appropriate temperature for the silica in the glaze to melt, then slowly cooled again. So, ghost firing. So let's go through the steps real quick. I'm at 24 minutes, which is beautiful, right? Shoot, what did I had to do? Yeah, so let's just go through it real quick. So step one, I just want you to be encouraged. So we read in the beginning that he knew you before you were even in the womb. So he already designed you for your destiny. So if you felt led to this truth, you felt drawn by the Spirit to this truth, then I believe you're destined. I believe that he already predestined your life. He already designed you for your purpose, right? So you just have to walk in it. You have to go through the process so you can become a vessel of honor, to walk in it uprightly and to walk in it perfectly. When I say perfectly, I'm meaning uprightly or integrally, right? So we see that we read Jeremiah and Romans, and then we go back to step one. So first, you got to design it. We are his design. He has designed us. He has predestined us. He has chosen us. He has handpicked us for such a time as this. He's predestined us for righteousness, right? So one, design. He designed us. Two is the making of the clay, right? Pulling us, twisting us, putting us through processes, lower speeds, right? It's, man, I tell you, the stretching part, man, that's a hard thing to go through sometimes. But to get pulled and to get stretched is what increases your faith and increases your understanding. Because when you get out of that battle or out of that storm, he shows you, he always speaks, he always tells you why later. It might not be in the midst of you going through it, but he will reveal it, right? As you're getting pulled and stretched, right? And then in the midst of getting pulled and stretched, now we got to sit and dry for the third process. We just got to learn to listen. We got to learn to pray. We got to learn to be still and know that he's God in the midst of it, to know that he's all powerful, right? And you cannot rush the process because this will compromise the end result. Don't compromise the end result because you're in a hurry to rush God, to rush the Most High, to do what he has for you to do, right? And what he has for you. You know what I'm saying? You can't rush that. That's something that he has to teach you through the process of creating you into a vessel of honor, right? So step 4, this is another uncomfortable. Actually, every process of this is pretty uncomfortable, but they're all needed in order for you to become a strong vessel, in order for you to become a strong a piece of clay, right? You got to go through all this. And then we have the trimming and cleaning up, right? And the shaping and the molding, the trimming and the cleaning the rough edges. So the only way that you can trim the rough edges is through the word. And also prayer. Prayer and the word go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. That's why a lot of people are very intellectual when they study the word. They know the word. But without prayer, you're not going to know how to give out that word with wisdom. Prayer humbles you. Prayer shows you how to use wisdom, how to operate in wisdom in the midst of you gaining understanding and gaining this information, right? So you got to have both. So part of trimming and cleaning and getting molded and getting, created into a vessel of honor is reading, studying, actually studying, not just reading, but studying the word and having a life of prayer, right? So then we have the 5th step, which is the brisk firing. And this is the process that makes you strong. It's the process that makes you strong. And I just want to read 1 Corinthians 3:13 once again. And I really think about what he's saying here. This is crazy. Every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. So whatever your work was, it's going to be tried by fire. And it says that we're tested by fire. We refined by fire, just like gold. Gold, in order, that has a stage too. Maybe I'll do a message on the process of gold, right? Because part of gold is that has to also be melted down to become a precious metal. So fire is very, very, it's something that Yahweh's always used, in the testing of his people and trying his people. He puts us in the fire. He stretches us and allows us to sit there and just to dry out through the process for a little bit. Now, when I say dry, I'm not talking about lose faith, nothing like that. I'm talking about the process of just listening. What do you want me to do? The feast days, appointed times, the Shabbat, appointed time, a rehearsal, right? Rehearsing the righteous acts. Those are things that we have to do and get used to, right? So we have the brisk fire in the process, makes it strong. Then you have the glazing, which to me, the glazing is the outside where they paint it in the end, to make sure it's all good, and the outer covering. So to me, that's like him painting the oil on us. That's what anointing literally means, is painting the oil to protect. And the oil is a representation of the Holy Spirit, the Rawak, right? So he paints us with the oil, with the fragrance of him, and he covers us, right? Then he puts us back in the fire, in the glass firing, which is the final step, right? So whatever you're going through today, brothers, sisters, you might be going through the fire, and you might be going through the glass firing process, which is the final step, right? And it's to the point where the heat gets turned up so high until it melts to the point, right? It melts to the point where it can be formed. And it says that the more you can form it, it's the way that you mature it. Fire matures us. Stretching matures us. Cutting, cleaning us, trimming us, matures us, makes us stronger vessels, right? So don't fret, don't go against the process. If you're going through the fire right now, brother, sister, I just want to encourage y'all, is that you keep letting Yahweh put you through the process, but don't you give up. Don't give in your faith. Keep fighting. You know what I'm saying? If you're feeling down right now, I just want to encourage you that part of this stretching, part of this cutting, part of this molding, part of the purging is necessary for you to become a strong vessel. It's necessary. But we have to stay repentant. We have to constantly stay in prayer. We have to stay in the spirit. And we have to understand that Yahweh is all that we need in these final hours, right? So be that vessel of honor. Just really think about the 7 steps that I went through and how he wants to mold and make you into that type of vessel. He the one that he designs and then creates the pottery and then puts it in the fire and then cuts you and you know what I'm saying, and cleans you up and then puts you back on the fire again. These are necessary steps, brothers and sisters. So I just wanted to share that with y'all. Hopefully you're edified by this message. This is one class of many to come, and we will have many classes coming on this channel on Voice of Yahweh. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in, right? I just want to share this. I couldn't get to my last note, man. I might have to cut off here, but it still showing me. But I just want to read it real quick. This was my final notes, which I didn't have in my other one. So step 1, he designed you. He already knows your destiny by which vessel are you? Which vessel are you? Be that vessel of honor, man. Don't skip the process. Even through the stretching, pulling, cutting, trimming, purging, drying out, all that. Let it make you a vessel of honor. Don't be discouraged. Keep fighting. I just want to say Kwame Asha'Allah to the 12 tribes of Israel. Thank you for listening. The Voice of Yahweh Camp. Daniela Latazak. I'm out. Hopefully you were edified. Leave a comment if you were blessed by this. All praises. Shalom. Peace.